Right, hello there everyone. I'm just gonna restart the counter because I'm just sorting out the baby for a second. I'll be right back. Right, hello everyone. Welcome to another stream. How are we all doing? Oof. How's things going? Welcome, Akraz. How are you, sir? Welcome there, Kata Imoi. How you guys doing? Or Kato Emoy. That's probably the way you say it. Welcome. Right, so last stream. So we're working on an media mode UI. Obviously, you got to excuse the horrible colors because we're working on functionality first. So we're trying to get all the little widgets that we want when we're doing debug UI for this game we're going to be making. So we're just getting all the basic bells and whistles in. So we've got the radio buttons, got the check boxes. We're able to have, you know, widgets inside of other widgets which have focus. This is a button here. We've got these lovely sliders. This is an integer slider. Wait, that's a little bit off there. Can you see that? The maths is a little bit off. Is that right? Yeah, the way it's doing the flooring, maybe. Yeah, it's flooring it. Yeah, we'll sort that one out. So in the integer one, it's being floored. We'll fix that. So as soon as you hit the center of it, it just goes off, right? This is an integer one. This is a float one. This is a text box. So today what we want to do is do images. That'll be dead basic. Then we want to, what else do we want to do? Then we want to make these guys. We want to make versions where they only can accept input as numbers and maybe floating point, stuff like that. So that's what we're going to work on today. So let's open up the main file. And we're going to go ahead and open up UI.h, the beautiful public interface, and UI.c, and then probably UI internal as well. And so we want to start by fixing that bug that we come across, right, to the slider. So slider E32 does a clamp to a value, and it's doing some floor. Okay, wait. It's to do the logic. So this is the read, where we read the offset. This is probably fine. Yeah, this is fine, because it's read as an integer. Here, however, it's wrong. So this is when we say, hey, if it's the focused widget, and you're holding the mouse button on it. Or if it's the keyboard focus one, and you're holding the mouse down on it. If it's the integer, it does something here where it gets some form of ratio. Does this, converts it from a float to an integer. Now in C you get implicit, it's implicitly rounds the value closer to 0. So obviously it's positive. So it rounds it, floors it. Whereas if it was negative, it will seal it, right? So what we really want to probably do is round it before we do this clamp F32, right? So that is basically what we're looking for both the signed and unsigned version of this, and that should fix that problem where we was moving it, where it's snapping in the wrong place. Let's go ahead and run it. Ransel, sir, thank you so much. 6 months. Streak there, appreciate it. Well, it's not a streak, but maybe it's a streak. But appreciate it, sir. Right, so now you see that is fixed, right? It's going off the edge of this, and then it snaps to the next one. As opposed, it used to snap when you went over this middle bit, which is wrong. So we fix that now. Job's a good one. Right, so next thing we want to suss is the image. So should we call them images or textures? Right, time for a poll. So, see, in terms of graphics, people like the word texture. But I want to ask the question again. In terms of UI widgets, which is okay. In terms of UI widgets, what name? So you keep it simple. Image or texture, in no order, no preferred order here. Just yeah, thank you, appreciate it. Right. So in the meantime, let's just write one out. Shaded rectangle. Oh ho ho. With a shader. Right, so I think what we'll do is we'll do a rename while we're doing this. So we're going to be doing input boxes today. So you see this text box here? It's going to get renamed. So we're going to have a... Yeah, we're doing another enum. More enums, the better. Ooh. Input box type. So we're going to have a text one. So this would be known as input box. And you have a typeless, I think. So I might put some of the core logic inside. Well, no, I'm stealing it from the slider, but maybe we can't really call it typeless anymore. Maybe call it manual type. Dynamic type, screw it. Yeah, but it's kind of, we'll call it typeless. Because the user shouldn't really be using this one. UI input. Let's call it type. Right. So then we'll effectively just be see, I don't know if we'll have any special logic. It might all be internal, I reckon, to that one call. So we could just call it text box still. I don't know. All right, we're about halfway through there. Or rather than calling it input box, we could just call it input. And then you say UI input text. Input U32. Yeah, I think we'll just roll with those. Right. So we probably want to offer explicit ID versions as well. No biggie. So these will want UI input type text. It's a bit like saying text or string, isn't it, really? Which one to... Sorry, the texture. Yeah. Naming is hard. Especially when everyone has an opinion about it as well. Right. So S, F, And voila. So that is the new thing we have to be using. So where it says text box. So we've got this thing called text box state now. Well, I guess we'll just call it input widget state. Something like that. We'll do a nice sort of big old rename. Be good. So UI text box state. We'll rename that to UI input widget state. Something like that. So that's in the internals. Sort that one out. Then it's got this name called text box state. Bum bum bum. So with that one, wait, it's backslash that, isn't it? Yeah. Text box state. And then we'll call that input widget state. Voila. Nice one. Right, image one. Just about. No, image one is 2/3. Whoa. 4 of you said yes. Right, so I think we'll use the word image then. It's interesting. I ran that same poll for when it was referred to for like a GPU API, people like the word texture. But then for UI, people like the word image. So strange. TB. That's called IW. Images you refers to a visual representation, so it makes more sense. Yeah, I don't know. I think the word texture in general is just quite, you're texturing something in 3D. That's where the name comes from. But when you're using stuff on the GPU, you're rendering to, when you render out to an image, you don't render out to a texture. It just doesn't sound right. But we say it anyway, right? And the only time the word texture makes sense is literally to texture a 3D object, or maybe texture a plane, but 2D plane maybe, but still, yeah, it's a bit weird. Also, the word shader as well is like really bad. Right, so UI. You know what? Let's just keep working on this one. I was going to do the image one, but let's just finish off the input box because we started on it. I'll do the image in a bit. So here's our input box, just as text. Wait a minute. It should just be called input. UI input. Right, let's nail that. Bam. Right. So what do we want to achieve? So we want to restrict you from being able to put in any text when you're just dealing with numbers. Wait a minute. Okay. So I did get this wrong. Yes. So we will need extra ones. So you want to be able to see, what would be interesting is if you could have a buffer and maybe you give the user, they just edit the buffer. Maybe you could give them a string back. They might not want it. But see, the buffer could actually be internal. No, it can't be internal because that's where you want it to go in the end, isn't it? Because you could have the thing that editing be internal. By the end of the day, it's got to be copied somewhere. So giving them a string out is kind of pointless. But in terms of the other ones, U32, this one could be some internal buffer that we use. Because we know the max size of it, right? So it could just be fixed somewhere. And this is the value that they're modifying. Yes. So with the text, this is it. Yep. That can just call directly into typeless, I reckon. No. And also, we say input ID, then type, and I think the end. That's a bit wrong. Hmm. Hey Phoenix, Firewings, what have I missed? From 36. What was 36? Let's go to the VOD channel and find out. Hey there, Egotist, how you been? How's it going, OS Win? How's it going? It's been a while. Right, here's the VOD channel. 36 was transforms. So we completed the renderer, we did tons of optimizations. We kind of did an optimization here successfully. I think this one is where it failed, and then we figured it out on this one. And then we started doing some UI. We've now got quite a lot of widgets actually in only a few days of streams. So yeah, it's going quite good. Going quite good. We've got a whole bunch of widgets. Here they are. So we've got buttons, radio buttons, checkboxes, sliders, integer sliders, progress bar, text box, all the good fancy stuff. So yeah, we're just working on adding like restrain, like typed input text boxes basically. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. U32 ID. And then, right. So we're going to finish off this guy. And then we'll write the other ones. So we've got this thing called type. I think we're gonna have to have more stuff passed in. Not sure yet, not 100% sure. So when it comes to a yeah, so we need to store the type in the widget state, that's for sure. So this is persists globally. So as soon as you start using an input box, it gets filled up with the information, so it can start modifying. Yeah, so it can start modifying the value and stuff like that. So there's not one per widget, there's only one globally, and it's only used when you're editing it, basically. So what we want to do is store in there the type. Somewhere here. UI input type. Okay, so when we set the thing up, which is typeless, so it happens here, right? If it's been pressed and it wasn't focused before or something like that, we can then set up the type. That. Right, so now we have that thing that persists. It means every single time we input some text, wait, does it matter? Yeah, every single time we input some text, so it's called text input for some reason, you get some string, you get a string. So what we want to do is say, right, this mem copy kind of needs to be restricted now. So what we need to do is just do a manual mem copy. Way too quick. Right, so it's a string dot, what's the size, isn't it? Okay. So the manual mem copy is literally this plus index equal string index. Now we can only do this if, right, so get the little char. So if the chip, so the idea is we only want it, well, we want to restrict it to a number or maybe a full stop if it's, yeah, so there's a little bit, there's some, right. So I have to basically switch on the IW type. I'm not sure if it's good in this every char, but it probably doesn't matter right now. Yeah, maybe you could just do this, right? I could have kept the mem copy. I mean, was there a thing we wanted to do is restrict, yeah, we might want to restrict characters going in anyway. So do something like this, case, so the text is just going to get a flat copy. But we'll keep it in a for loop because you might want to put some if statements in and filter out certain characters or something, maybe. We'll see about that one. It'll just be for loops, so we don't need the extra brackets. Cool. U32, this has its own restrictions. So these restrictions are going to be if is not digit. So there's an is digit. Is digit is kind of pointless. Let's just say if 0 is less than or equal to char. Wait, I forget. Well, Provod, thank you so much for the raid. Appreciate it, sir. How you been? How's it going? Welcome, guys. How did the stream go? So currently working on some UI. Got an immediate mode UI. It's all written from scratch in C, of course. So we did some sliders last stream. So it's all custom rendered as well. You've got some sign distance field renderer. It can do a lot more fancy things than this, but yeah. Yeah, so we're just trying to get some input box working. We have it working for text. We're trying to make it work for like numbers and stuff now. Hey Provod, my eyes. I know, right? The theme is horrible, but it's purposely horrible because we want to focus on doing widgets first. But yeah, it's all anti-aliased. That's right. because we're using sign distance fields, it basically comes for free for any shape. So that's pretty good. Except for the text, obviously, because the text is just pixel text. And why did I try PHP over and over again? I swear I don't like PHP. Yeah. So hoping to spend like maybe 2 or 3 more streams on this, and then we'll just move on to the next task. I think doing some 3D rendering should be good. Vulkan PHP bindings. Oh my days. Just taking me back, you know. I once had the opportunity to work with PHP, and there's just so much magic stuff going on behind the scenes, you know. I did not get it, and somehow I made something in it. I was using some like framework or something. Oh, this is crazy. Right, 0's at the start. Good. Right, so it's a number. Voila. There is actually a quick way to do this. I think you can do it without. Yeah, there's a better way to test for a digit. But it's fine. Right, so the next one is sign numbers. So you're allowed it to be this, or if IW buffer cursor plus index is equal to 0. And is equal to negative. Then we'll allow you to put that on. Sweet, one more to go. And that is the signed. Wait a minute. DST index equal to 0. DST index plus equal 1. We need that around. Plus IDX. Right, so be plus DST index. Wait, is that right? We could validate the string. That's the thing, it's like if you pass in a... Yeah, it should be fine. We're only really handling... Well, if you paste in a string, it's just going to filter out the numbers. So maybe we should just validate what you're doing. And then we should just do the mem copy, I reckon. Where's that mem copy we used to have? There it is. Yoink. So we'll just do the mem copy, and we're just going to validate instead. So we're just going to go over all the guys, and we'll just say, we'll break out the loop, and then we'll say something like Boolean pass, or is valid, equals true. And we'll just say, hey, by the way, is valid equal false here. Right, so the next thing we want to do is do the floating point 1. If it's valid, copy it in. This mem move needs to be moved as well because that makes room for it in the text box, and then we copy it in. So if it's a float, you want to allow a full stop, but only if there's not a full stop already in there. So we'll need some sort of global state for that. So we'll say float contains full stop. So we then also want to say or IW, like not of that, basically, and char equal dot. So we can allow that into the input if so. So what we need to do is when we set this thing up, here, we'll set it to false. Well, it depends. We might have to, if it's a floating point number, we'll have to verify that and see if the float already. We'll see. Right, so that's the code that checks everything and makes sure the input is valid. So you kind of want to know if the thing you're looking at has a full stop. So right, so in this case, you would just check. You would just say, right, that or equals something like that. Wait a minute. You have knotted the whole thing, isn't it? Okay. So in this case, I think you might just OR it like that. But it might not be added. So we should probably just say like found full stop. Or something. And if it happens, we'll chuck it on. Right, getting there. So that's the input logic sorted out. So now what we have to do is make sure that the actual text or the input code for the widget is good. Right, so now we've got a handle. So here's the API, right? We've got this type plus 1, which is going to get called by text, U32, S32, and F32. And right now a type comes in to say which one it is. But we need to have a way of finding out. Yeah, no, I think we'll just search for it. So we search the buffer for there's a built-in function that is a string check. Forgot it was now string. Oh, that's the one. So it's going to be null terminated, so we might as well just use this. What does it return? Returns null if it's not found. Perfect. So we'll just say, see, I barely use the standard string functions. When will gameplay programming strings begin? In a couple of months? Yeah, so after the UI stuff is done, we're going to be doing some we'll be doing some 3D graphics R&D. So we're going to be doing it using compute shaders only. And then after that, after we've found that sort of graphical art style, so I think we'll figure out how we want to render the 3D, then we'll probably figure out maybe lighting and stuff like this, and just have a bit of a play with, or just at least think about it. And then we'll probably settle on something, and then after we've found some form of like art style that is enough, I think we'll then start doing some streams where we probably design the game that we want to make, and then probably do some prototyping. Because here's the thing as well, is that we don't want to go too far with the graphics, and then the game maybe not really needing all of that fancy stuff that we've done. So I need to figure out like where's a point where it's like, you know, we can do something with this. I get some technology, like right out of the technology at least, and just see how capable it is, and then go into some game design, I think. How realistic is it to achieve Unreal Engine graphics in the game? I don't know. It's hard to really say what Unreal Engine graphics is, because, you know, it does do a good job. Like, it's possible to get like, you know, it's possible to do the same amount of like visual effects that they do, but in terms of like having artists actually produce high fidelity content, that's where it's going to be different. And also, like, we're going to not be using triangles at all, so it's really going to be more of a, you know, I'm going to use that word, going to be more of like a stylized graphics, right? So it's going to be like realism, basically. It's going to be a little bit like, it's going to have like a style to it, right? Closest dreams, no, it's not going to be. It's kind of like, it's kind of inspired by sort of dreams, how it does something different, but it's not going to be using SDFs though. But yeah. The global illumination is pretty good and probably hard to reproduce. Full lumen. Yeah, but you don't have to, like, lumen is complicated, but you don't, like, if you want to do good lighting, you just do ray tracing, right? There's not, like, at the end of the day, you just do ray tracing. But yeah, it will take a lot of work to achieve similar effects, I guess. But it's definitely achievable in comparison to having high fidelity assets, right? Basically, and similar performance. Yeah. Have you thought about the game? I've not thought about the game yet. There's a few games I do want to make, but I don't want to like. I want to like use where my sort of where I sort of program the engine, or at least the bit where we can prototype it, and then I want to take that hat off and put on the game designer hat. And the same when we're doing art as well. I want to sort of get to places where there's sort of good, and then I can sort of just switch and change my sort of brain mode, you know. Yeah, PBR. I've not done PBR though, but yeah, there's plenty of resources available. But yeah, that's part of what I want to do is just find this art style really, and make it stand out from every other game that just uses Unreal or, you know, does some. So we'll try and find something unique. We'll see how that goes though. But yeah, we're actually getting through this quite quick. I was thinking it was going to be longer, but what are we looking for? A full stop in it. There we go. Ideally, you want to know the game you're making to build an engine that serves the purpose of the genre, right? Not a general purpose engine. Yeah, that's correct. This is why we're building the engine, like the core part of the engine, right? The essentials you need, right? We need to be able to rent. Like I know it's going to be 3D. I know I'm going to need some form of input. So we've got keyboard and we've got support for controllers, right? We run on Windows and Linux. We need UI, right? So I'm just getting those bits in, just enough. And then we can do the sort of specialization bit from there. Because, yeah. But yeah, you're right. I could have done the game design first, but I don't know. I feel like when I do the game design first, by the time I get to have written the engine out, either the game design is terrible or I haven't, thought about it, or I haven't thought about it in a while, and the ideas become loose again, and I need to sort of and maybe I'm thinking different things now. So I want to just get to a place where I can actually prototype it in the code I have, rather than using something like Unreal or Unity to prototype it in, and try and go with that approach. Core novel engine features might guide game art like a feedback loop. Yeah, that's another point as well. By the tech, like the tech also can give you restraints or restrictions. So we did go and add the ability to have multiple keyboards and mice and multiple game controllers all connected, and do this sort of complex, well, not complex, but really like an input system where you can just plug in tons of devices and stuff like this. So I'm hoping we get to use it, and hopefully it feeds into the design. So we're going to try and use those as sort of input parameters to when we do the design. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Right. I think I need to take a quick break because I just drank a tea and it's warm, and I want to go get a cold drink because it's actually really warm in here. And then we'll get back to this sort of like input box for integers and stuff like this. Right, I'll be right back. Right, welcome back everybody. I got myself a nice Pepsi Max cherry. Oh, crack that boy open. Oh. Okay, so right, we'll have like another function call this one, and we're going to assume that that thing has set up the floating point numbers, and that is when it needs to. I think yes. So this one doesn't need to do much; it just needs to display the text, right? I think that's right. So okay, so we just need to make the other functions now. So these are the other ones, text. All right, so let's get these in. Yeah, so it'll call UI, it'll get this UI change thing, UI input typeless ID, ID rect, buff mute, buff cap, UI input type text style, and then we'll return changed. I did mess that up a bit, but it's fine. We've saved something. Rightio. Okay. F32, S32, E32. Perfect. So this value comes in, and we have to. So if this value comes in, and the user has changed the value, then we need to repopulate the internal text box. If the user has typed something in the text box, we'll get a change event. We then need to turn that into an integer. If it doesn't translate, we leave the value alone. We don't write out a new value, right? That's the logic we're looking for and have to implement. So when I said the word internal text box, it could just be static. So here's the buffer. Like, it's just internal here. We're only going to be calling it. We're only going to be using it when something is a text box is active, which is only one at a time in the whole application. So this will be fine. So how many characters can you have? You know, it's 4 billion, isn't it? So that's a million is 6 or 7 characters. A billion is 10 characters plus 1. You know, so let's just round it to 16. It's a nice number. Okay. So now we need to do the thing where we probably pre-compute the next hash. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, given this input widget state, if we are the currently selected one, maybe we can do some stuff now. Do we need to do it before? That's the question. So I guess we can always pass in the buffer. See, the strangest thing is, like, if you were to have one that's already got some content in, and then you click on another input box, the content isn't going to be zeroed. It's not going to be zeroed. So you kind of need to know ahead of time, but I don't think that's possible. So maybe you have to break this into two, like, maybe you need to break it into two parts, because you need to know like, it's as if you want this to happen at the beginning and know that you have been selected this frame, then quickly go populate all the stuff, populate all the text in the box or clear it out, and then go, okay, it's fine to render. So I think we are going to be doing that then. So we'll say type, and then we'll have a start and an end one. So let's see if we can break these out first. So start. So we'll just let's just do this quick. We don't need an if visible because this only gets called if it is visible. That does the rendering. Then we know whether it's changed or not. Now, this code here needs to go in the start one. If is visible and this is pressed. Oh, it's looking for change, isn't it? That's fine. We can change it to visible. So change and visible, they're just enums, which are technically booleans, but they're just typed. So we don't have to write this thing returns true if it's changed, right? It's just when it's type safe too, it's self-documenting, so it's quite nice. So I was able to identify a problem there, which is good, because basically a boolean sucks. But the only time a boolean is good is when you're using it to generate an if condition expression, basically. And they still suck for then because I always get them the wrong way around. Always. Right, so you need to work out the ID hash. So what's our current identifiers for widget? That should be UI Yeah, there's a thing. Get the current widget hash. Good. So I need the IW. Very nice. So we don't need ID. We probably don't need oh no, we do need rectangle. It's using the buffer. Oh, of course, it's always got to display it, hasn't it? Shoot. It's always got to display it even if it's selected or not. So those input ones should only use a static one. Right, I think I got an idea. Yep. So what we'll probably do then is we'll probably have something globally. So this won't be static anymore. We'll populate it. We'll populate it every frame with just simply using sn printf, right? Buff, size of buff, u, and then just do deref value mute, something like that, right? This will get passed in all of the time. And then when we use this type, when we call into this typeless guy here, we're going to be saying, right, if the type is, so this buffer stuff here, if the type is equal to UI type text, we use this one, right? We'll just use the buffer you pass in, but if it's like a U32 or something, we'll have a built-in one for integers, basically, or number buff, and this number buff is going to have it's going to be a fixed size of well, for floating point, I guess you could probably get away with 16 as well. Be able to. So there's the max. So we'll just say, right, in that case, we'll just point it to IW number buff, and we'll say, do a mem copy into there, or a string copy maybe. So do a string from buff into there. And then, so that'll put a null terminator on the end, good. Then the size, yep, the capacity is going to be size of IW numbuff. Okay, so that way the text stuff can still work behind the scenes. And what's passed into this function for numbers is purely just to render. Yeah, purely just for rendering. No, because then it'll be inconsistent, wouldn't it? We could pass it in still. It'd be a bit weird, but I think we can do it. Maybe there's a better way to write this code, but it's good enough, I think. So we'll say, right, so it is purely for rendering reasons. We'll do this. And we'll say, I don't think we need this anymore. So we'll pass, need that hash. Yeah, we'll need it. Have you heard of malware that constructs a program that launches a child process and they debugs each other so you can't? Huh. No, I never heard about that. Why do they debug each other? What do you mean by that? They open it up itself in GDB or something? Whoops. So yeah, we've passed this in purely for rendering reasons. There's a start version of it. So you call that. Is visible. If is visible, we're going to call the end. No. You shouldn't need to pass in this to the end. because you've got it in IW anyway. IW has it. So that would be pointing to the num buff. No, it won't. No, it has to be passed in. Because you might want to have the... Yeah, shoot. But then if it's selected, you want to render the cursor over it. Yes. Okay, so you do need it passed in. It's all internal anyway. So this one's going to say, right, if I am the one that is selected, so if I'm the one that's selected, we want to be using IW numbuff, else just give it buffer, and that's will be rendered. Then the style. No ID. Okay. This one just returns false because it hasn't changed at all. So that right there should be what we need. I don't think we need... Yes, that'll be UI ID hash. All. Very good. Right, so that's what I think we'll need to do. So we'll go ahead and move this into the header file because I think that's pretty decent. So these are all kind of internal, really. Shouldn't need to use those. If they're internal, then they should just be in internal. Oh well. Right, so in the type plus start, do we need the style? Yeah, we do. Right, this is getting good. So just going to copy all of these guys. Oh, no. So we've done this sort of like, we've handled how we sort of display the text in the box now. But what we haven't done is figured out when they change the value, how do we handle that? And when we change the value, how do we give them the updated one? That's what we still need to do. I'm not sure, but they use an OS limitation that you can't debug something in Shoppers. Oh. When I programmed everything in terms of bits, what do you mean in terms of bits? Do you mean like, you know, this thing is using this many bits of information? Or do you mean... Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you mean. Right, so this is a perfect job of displaying the right, well, at least we think we do, displaying it. Now we need to say, hey, the user has changed the value, right? The user has changed the value, therefore, I need to update the text, right, in the box. Do we want that? So if we're live editing, the user changes the value, therefore see if the user changes the value, it's probably worth ignoring it because it would be quite annoying. Yes. It will be annoying when you're editing it, but when you're displaying it, you will get the update, but as soon as you start editing it, it's going to ignore you and use its one. So now all we have to do is say, right, is when we change this, we say if changed, right? So if we've changed this, we now need to turn it to an integer and then go, oh, was that correct? Conversion. So let's use, call it the string to L, I think, UL. Get the man page for it. Right, so there's a special thing you need to do. So you need the string. You need an end pointer. So you need an end pointer here. The string that goes in would be the num buff, isn't it? And then you want to pass in address of end pointer and then base 10. Now there's something you need to check. It says errors E range. Yes, there's one part of the question being aware of the size. So I don't think in terms of bits, because bits are only useful when you're thinking about operations on a group of bytes, or you're trying to sort of pack things into byte. Yeah, when you're dealing with packed information in bytes, or if you're talking in terms of networking, I guess, or they want to try and sell you a bigger number, so they times it by 8. Yeah, very rarely do I think in bits. I guess you think of bits when you talk about like 32-bit integers and but yeah, sometimes it just depends, right? Oh, and also allowing yourself to break objects into multiple fragments, bits. I don't know. Yeah, just think of bits when they're needed, basically, when you're packing information, or if you're making, you know, that's really, or if you're dealing with like how numbers, or if you're dealing with how like an integer is stored in memory or something like this, right? That's the only time you think about bits. So I've just realized we need to handle. Right, so let's look at end pointer. If end pointer not known, stores the address of the first invalid character. Right. So we've got the buffer size somewhere. So we should be able to say if end pointer is not equal to IW number, we'll take the address, plus IW buff size. So that's the end of the buffer. That's where the null pointer goes. So if it's not equal to that, yeah, so if it's equal to that, then we'll say, right, successful, value mute equal value or v, and then we'll return true. Else we'll just return false. Okay. It's pretty decent. What header is this in? Standard lib. Okay. So there's one more case we haven't handled properly, and that is if the string, right, when you're inputting characters in and you overflow you do go past 44 billion, what do? Right? You should really stop them from inputting a character which overflows the integer. Right? No. So they type in a number in, a really big number, which is very rare, which probably will never happen, right? It should probably then just max out the biggest integer and then give you that back. It's kind of annoying, but it might be better than inputting data and getting stuck at a high number, but it doesn't quite go at another digit because it will be 5 billion and it will stop, right? It's not that perfect number, so it stops you. So I think that might be better. Kind of annoying, but yeah, I think for our application, we don't have to think about this problem much. I think that's it. You always use the whole buffer. The man page suggests. Ah, that's a good point. Even better. See, with these C APIs, they give you these like low-level things, and yeah, they can be used in clever ways. Yeah, you just have to sort of. There's so many of these. Like they give you like something back, and they can be used in many ways. But there's a very specific way you can use, and it's quite clever. That's why they're hard to use sometimes, these APIs. Sound volume 5 billion. Nice. Did that? Right, I thought I kicked the thing there. Yeah, maybe not sound volume at 5 billion decibels. That would not be good. That would probably cause like an earthquake. Be quite big. Right, so I think that's it. So all we've got to do, punch this into these guys, and voila. So this one is a D, this one is a F. Now floating point is horrible. You know, it gives you like 5 trailing things. So for us, we could probably say 3, but you might want 2 or might want 1. So this is where you should probably have an optional format that you can pass in. But yeah, definitely not 5. So let's just leave it at 3 for now. We'll play with that one. Shoot, what did I do wrong? You said about being empty. You remember? Well, you didn't say it. It said here. If an digital returns the original value, yeah. So make sure it's not okay. I remember doing this before. Now, someone else. I've used this function before on stream. Someone else did say this. So you say IW numbuff not equal to the start of the array. Boom. Yeah, I'm not sure about the overflow one, to be honest. Not sure about the overflow one. I don't think I care about it. Buff mute, buff cap text. Buff mute gets thrown in. Right, should be good. Right, so let's deal with this one. It needs an S32. String to L. Returns an S32. Oh, it could be overflown, isn't it? It might overflow my integer. True. Yeah, we should probably clamp it. Clamp S30 S64, I guess. Unless you're on Windows. Damn it, Windows. You know what, let's do it anyway. S64. Or S32 min. Right. 0 E32 max. Or that ought to do it. Yep. So the floating point one. Float goes in. Hey there, Sully. How you been? Welcome, Valor. Welcome. Don't you have a string to int conversion? Util. I don't think I do. I've written one in the past, but I've not copied it to this project from scratch. Where it does it, I've written one where it does them all the types and that. But I don't think I do. Yeah, we just used it in the OS layer. We didn't actually write a wrapper for it. Shoot. Yeah, it's a long. Yeah, long min, long max. But long is 64. 64-bit, and we just want to have a 32-bit one, so we'll clamp it. Right, so string to D, I think. Don't need no base. 111. So we'll get a float back. Right, so that ought to be good enough. Ooh, so I think we should get rid of the sliders then and just bring in a couple more input boxes. Oh no, we can just change one of them. So text box. Okay, so this one here, which is ABC, can stay. We'll call it input text. This one will be input U32. We should really only do the. Well, yeah, we'll try them all out. U32 V input value initialize to 0, right? Take the address of. So you really should do a couple of these guys for a second. Value. Something's up. Expected 4 have 5, damn it. Boom. Okay, so let's try this one out. So the U32 will be the one on top. Okay, so straight away it's put the value 0 in there, looking good. So we click it. If I clear it, it still puts 0 in there. That is not what we want. I start putting numbers in, then we get crash. Right, let's try this again. Let's start just putting numbers. It crashes. So where does it crash exactly in the end one? So it crashes. I got 2 stack traces, weird. 2 is better than 1. Did the crash handle a crash? Maybe. No, 5, 7, 5. This shouldn't be buff mute. That would be the one on the stack. We should be using IW num-buff at this point. No, it should be the same thing. Something is up. Oh, Gecko Nick Rogue, thank you for the 100 bits. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you for the thought, my friend. Right, so it changed nothing. Right, okay, that's what I was expecting it to cap out. I think that's desired behavior. Being consistent though. I don't think I changed anything. Let's try again. Right, maybe I did. No, I put in the num. Did I compile it with that? And let's just see what happens. Right. Okay. It's not using the right buffer. So oh, I want to use B here, that's why. Shoot. What script are you using to compile? This one. So it's single compilation unit. We just so I got my custom C compiler which compiles all of our shaders, and then we run clang, and we have a main file which includes every other C file in the project, and it compiles in about a second, running 2 compilers. So it's good enough for us. As you see at the top here, we basically just include every other C file in the project. But as this will get more expensive, we might break it out into, we might make a custom build system basically and do incremental builds or whatever. But for now, this is good. Right, so that'll fix the crash at least. Oh, that made it way better. Sweet. Now the problem, so you can type in all this. That's interesting. You're allowed to type in all of this, but if you come off it, yes, it will clamp it. Now That is desirable behavior, I think. Because it doesn't clamp it while you type it, and you still have time to make your edits. But then you'll come out, and then... Oh. Why didn't that change? That should have updated. Right, we'll look into that. So we filled it, then I went here and pressed delete. Did the delete key not trigger changed? The delete key may have not triggered change. Neither did the backspace key. Right, so the backspace keys and delete keys are not triggering a change event. So has changed equal true, and voila. Jobs are good. No worries, no worries. We just like to keep things simple here where possible. So I fill it up, then I take it back, and then I go here. Works fine, good. Fill it all the way up, go here. Yep. Fill it up, go back. Looking good. Fill it all the way up, go back to here, delete some things. Oh, that was a little bit too much, so we wasn't able to tell. Perfect. Right, so that's really good behavior. I like it. We're able to put spaces in it. No, we're not. No spaces, no characters. I'm typing on the keyboard now, but these guys are all good. Full stop doesn't work, neither does the negate. Right, so next one to test out is the... So what we should really do is to have another one at the same time and test out how it works with a signed number. So this one will be on top, and I wanted to see how it's like switching between them. See it's typing out here? That's not good. Is it because it's... It can't be because it's static. Those are inconsistent. With what we've done just now, which is really annoying. UI slider typeless ID. Cool. Right, so where was we? Was dealing with the fact that it's sort of sharing. So it was like S32 ID, right? So the buffer's on the stack. So when you pass this in, is it saying... Oh, changed. Right, it's triggering changed even for text boxes that are not selected yet, thus updating the value. That's wrong. We only return changed if we are the one which is selected. Therefore, so that's the reason why. Right. Okay, so we punched some... Oh, that one didn't like that one. Whoops, we cannot return. So we're going to do like a Boolean changed equal false. Wait. Boom. Okay. So you enter here, punch some numbers in. This one doesn't update. And then go over to here, puts the value in there, that's good. We're going to change this one, put some different numbers in. Over here, Good. So now this one is the signed one. So it should allow a negative character, but no more. We can punch some stuff in, and then go here. It's negative still. Very good. So if I was to take it up and make it just so it says negative, it's negative 2. That's questionable. We should change that. But also, if I punch some stuff in and go home and press negative, it still works, which is good. Then I go here. Okay, so that's really cool. I like it. There's just one problem with... Right, so that's, yeah, the negative max, which is good. This is for signed numbers, but yeah, when we do floating point, yeah. How do they handle stuff like that? See, I'm using the built-in string to D. Does string to D do that? Infinity, either inf or infinity disregarding case. NaN. So you can do it maybe negative? Maybe. That'd be interesting. But you got to be able to punch it in. Yeah, I've got some... The problem is I've got some restrictions on what it allows you to type in though. So I have to change those. Typeless. Yeah, I'm not sure if I ever need infinity, but I might do. It is a little special value, isn't it? Could be cool. Yeah, so the problem is when you clear it all out, it remembers the last one being negative 2, and you cleared it out, and where it's just negative now. So if it's just got negative in there, right? So we'll do a little special case. If it's just got negative in there, we'll set it to 0. So if IWBuff equal negative and IWBuff num1 equal null term, we'll do a special little thing where we just go, okay, set that to 0, and that'll be a nice way of doing it. You probably want that also on the floating point one, right? Set it to 0 for me, please, and voila. So we'll try that out, see how it goes. So if we put negative 2, then type some stuff, whatever, then let's remove it all the way up to negative 2, 0. Very cool. Right, let's try the floating point one now. And then that is the input stuff done, which is pretty sweet. Obviously, we could do vectors of things. That can... Yeah, we could do vectors of things, actually. Just keep cutting left. Maybe. Yeah, it's possible. Floating point. So let's try this one out. This one does the full stops. I think we've got to... Yes, it does all 5 of these. Can you put another one in? Doesn't allow you? Good. Go back, punch in some stuff, put a full stop. Only allows 1. Go. It allowed me to put another full stop in after I provided more input. Why? After I provided more input. Right. So into or equal that on. But if I delete, now we've got a handle when you... Yeah, so when you delete it. So when you delete stuff, if I delete a full stop, we'll be better off. So if you backspace, so you go over some things, you kind of want to know if you remove that full stop. So if you're doing backspace, we should just do a structure on it, I think. Maybe we should just do it all the time. Just keep doing this, you know. I don't know if it really matters so much. Or it's only when you press a key and it's very small anyway. So it should just be doable. So let's try that out and see how that works. So we're just going to run that again. So we try and put some full stops in. It doesn't work even when I put more characters in, which is great. Let's go back to here, put a full stop in. That's good. It detected that. Type stuff in, put full stop. Nice. Can I start with a full stop? I guess that's okay. Great. 0-1. What do you mean doing like a takeaway? No, we don't allow the takeaway. But yeah, we put the minus in though. Minus point blah blah blah. Does that work? And it works. Nice. So the control get rid of, it doesn't stop on a symbol. So technically we kind of did it wrong. This should stop on a symbol while it's not equal to this. What we're really saying is, so this is a special key, I think, a special char. So we just say like Boolean. It doesn't allow input in dash in the middle of a number. No. No, it doesn't. Yeah, we got a little guard we ended at the start. So we want to do really all symbols, isn't it? So full stop, take away, plus. We could just do an ASCII check, right? Not really, because right, so the symbols from there to there, basically. So from that one, right, so if char is and less than or equal to /, return true. See, we could just fill up a table and then iterate over it. That would maybe be better, but I guess for now, do this because it's easier to write. What about minus 0.0? Will it convert to 0.0? I don't think it should. Or will it? Good question. It's using the standard C function to do the conversion, isn't it? We'll try that out. Then we're doing semicolon to question mark, or to @ sign. Semicolon to the @ symbol. This one to grave. Right. Boom. Very good. So that should be all the symbols. Handled there. So there are special characters, the rest can just be. So I don't know where to stick this. So we need to know, it's kind of like an internal function. We need to probably say, yeah, we'll put it there. UI text is special char. I don't know. It's just a name. And it's going to go next to its buddy, old pal. This one. Cool. So we need to use this in that sort of like text update. Again, lovely name. Could mean anything. So when we're doing these sort of backspaces and hold control, we want to go while it's not a special character. And we forgot to include space in this, didn't we? So space is filling left out. So there it is there, corrected that. So while it's not a special character, keep going back. And when if we happen to have landed on a special character, then just go after it, I think. Maybe it might be to do space, we'll see. So let's have a play. So it's on a special character as well, just go back by 1. Something like this. Right, so let's play with that and see if we've made it better. Because I didn't handle that before. So here's a fully text one. We're going to put in some symbols. So if I do, right, control backspace, it went back to there. Do it again. It skipped over all of those. I think that makes sense. Yeah. So if I did that into text prompt here, I could say, good. But if I typed in and some numbers, it goes up to those things. That's perfect. That's the logic you want. Are we checking for punctuation characters? There's is punct. Might mimic the name for the benefit of. I didn't know that thing existed. Sounds like you're getting punked. You've been punked. Are you just being like robbed? Checks for any printable character that is not a space or alphanumeric. Yeah, so it's basically that, but we want the space as well. So that's cool. So I didn't know that existed, but yeah, we just hand rolled one. But yeah, we'll probably be better just have an array and just do an array lookup, maybe, than doing all those if checks, range checks. I'm not sure. It gets even worse with UTF-8 though. You have to do like a category check and grab it from metadata and. So I think that's the good upgrade. So we'll just adjust that for the deletes. So the delete is saying while it is a special character, and while this is not a special character, Cool. And it handles all of that. So now, if we recompile that, build up this boy, and now if we hold Control and press, and it stops here. Pretty good. I can punch in some stuff. Can't put space in. Then I go back to the start, punch some stuff in, do Control Delete. Goes up to the full stop. Very nice. Very nice. I like that. So let's try that thing that was suggested by Akras. He was saying, try doing negative 0.0. So it should be negative 0.0. Yep. Good. What? Right, it's the characters. Interesting. Right, and it tells you the ranges there. Right. Fair play. This is a C stream. Oh, you're talking about the CPPs, yeah. We happen to... Ah, it's C on the CPPs. Yeah. I typically ignore these functions and hand roll my own. But yeah. That's just the way... Yeah. I really want to try and ignore the most of the C standard library, but then it just is so convenient to use things sometimes, like string char and... Yeah. Right, so I think we're doing good. So should we try and do vectorized versions? Just whack those in, right? Vectorized versions of these guys. Let's see how easy it would be. And hey there, very much. How you been? Is there a problem with it? The problem is that it's kind of old and the API kind of sucks. That's about it. Also, the C API, there's the C standard, and it's also extended as well, which means that you've got to be careful and make sure you don't use the extended functions, which are only available on certain operating systems. You also need to make... Also, the other problem is the implementation is different on each platform. When you write your own, you know what it is on every platform. And you know exactly what's in there, basically. Yeah, there's also the header includes as well. If you can avoid including the headers, that's another one. Can invalidate your assumptions about decimal operators. Might not be the dot. Yes, it's doing all that extra stuff. Hey there, Master Agent. No, hey there, Master Agent. How you doing? How's things been? Okay, so let's try and have a bit of fun, and let's make like a vectorized version of this one. So to do a vectorized version, see, it's possible to do it. Yeah, it's not too bad. We just add in 3 more functions for each of them. So let's do it. Let's have some fun. Okay. So ultimately what you're doing is you're calling, so you're writing changed equals false, and you're saying changed or equal so you're doing ID There's a bit of a problem with it. Really, you need to wrap these in something. Really, you kind of need to like a widget start, but not really a full widget start. Damn it. We could say plus -1 plus -2 plus -3. Wait. Sorry. No, that just reduces it by 1, sorry. What I mean is we could do 0 take away ID and then put it in a really big range. But that's not very good. So we should probably wrap it in widget start and make a new widget. And then probably don't want to have any styling. We also don't want to have any flags set. This is really testing the API. Return changed. Pass in the style. Pass in address of value mut x. Rectangle, this is something that's got to be modified. So we have one locally. Call it R. Deref of rect. They want to keep cutting left by how much we've got to split this thing by, right? So effectively you get yourself the width. Equals r dot max take away r dot min. Then we want to divide by the number of components in our vector. So that's how much we're going to cut by each time. So then we want to say R equals UI rect cut left. So we cut this rectangle to the left and get back let's call it A. We'll cut by width. Then we'll repeat this code and do Y as well. Yeah, see, I'm not sure how much I like. No, I think it's fine doing it on the. Yeah, no, it's good. Oh, I was gonna say, I don't know how much I like always having to set a local variable and then take the address of it here, but the alternative is either bringing this layout logic inside the library, which is not what we want, or put it here, which could make it quite wide. And then it's passed by value as well, which is maybe might not be good. So I think it's worth it. There's a hilarious rant from the MPV author in the commit message on that topic. Oh wow. By the way, are kind of topic links frowned upon here? No, you can link them, that's fine. You can send links as long as they're related to programming or, you know, on topic, that sort of thing. That's cool, no worries. You can chat amongst yourselves, there's no worries about that. Been fine, just spent 2 hours first cleaning out, then renovating my chinchilla's enclosure. Nice. An hour break before getting into work. How about yourself? Oh, went back into work. Right, so you did it over your lunchtime or something. Cool. I spent 2 hours. Yeah, not been doing bad. Just I'm quite tired to be fair. Really busy day at work today and yesterday. Just been just working hard. So super tired really. But yeah, things are doing good. Just trying to look after the baby. He's ill. I'm a tiny bit ill as well, but yeah, I've just been looking after the baby. But yeah, in terms of the progress we're doing here, it's been quite good. We're just doing input boxes now, so we can have some debug menus and things that we can modify things with. Where's our list of widgets? Well, here's all of our widgets, right? We've got sliders, integer sliders, so they sort of snap a bit. You know, combo buttons, checkboxes, those things. These are things we're working on right now. We're trying to do the vectorized versions. But yeah, things coming together pretty good, really. We've got a handful of widgets left. We've got images we want to do today. We should be able to get that done. Input boxes, we just finish up on these. Lists and scroll areas will be the ones we're doing next stream. These are the more complicated ones because we haven't really done... We've got clipping in the code base, but we haven't actually activated it in the render code yet. And we've also got to deal with this cutting layout system and see how that works when we cut stuff that kind of goes off the page or out of bounds, which I think isn't, well, I know it's not going to work and I want to handle that properly. But yeah, it's cool. Super excited. So we could put all X, Y, Z, but I think it should be fine. So times 2 times 2. Thank you, appreciate it. That's fine, the profanity is fine. No worries. That looks quite funny already. Is he comparing it to OpenGL? Right, we did a widget start and we didn't do a widget end or something. Super weird. Right, we're passing in two of the same IDs. Right, so we zero them. Well, we should do 1 and 2, I think, something like that. Then we should be doing a widget end. Oh, come on. Come on. 8, 3, 2. There's this one. Right, it's passing in null for the style. See, I don't expect... We need like a zeroed style internally. This is fine. So, where's the style at? We'll call it like G style 0. But we can maybe stick it actually publicly. Where's style at? External. So you can just use that. Wait, GUI. Probably do it const. You know, don't want anyone changing that. We want it to have like an address. Which then means probably under this, near this one. Whack it in there. Voila. So when we're doing those U32 times 2, we'll pass in that style there. Beautiful. Right, got rid of... Right. This is where the const correctness is destroying me now. It expects it to be mutable. But I put the word const in there. But you shouldn't be modifying the style anyway. But the problem is with the style is it just makes the prototype longer if we're doing const this, const that, isn't it? Everywhere. But we could do it. Const UI style star style. Let's go, people. Give me that const. Oh. Right, that ought to be good enough. Const cast out of your predicament. Yep. One way of doing it. But yeah, it's kind of good to have it there so any of the internal functions don't accidentally set something. There's that. See, I have mixed feelings about const. It's kind of cool, but then it just really is a ball ache at the same time. So here's our times 2, right? Ta-da! There you go. So there's x, there's y. We could be more explicit about this by putting a text field next to each of them. But this might just be used for debugging stuff for me. And yeah, so it should be good enough. So we'll just whack all those in. Let's go full ham and get those all in. Wow. Oh my days. It's crazy. Cool. So all we have to do now is simply repeat this thing. So do a times 3 version, times 4 version, right? Obviously taking a 3 and a 4. And then you need to do the same thing here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and take the times 2 version here. Repeat. Up and up. This gets made a 3. You repeat again, do a Z rather. And then you do a 3 there. That's all we need to do. And then for the 4, it's the same thing. Look for the times 3, up that by 1, up that by 1, up that by another 1. Then do a dot. W. W. Cool. So now it's got to repeat all that for S32 and float 32, but that's not too difficult. Just got to do this. And do it again. Cool. And then inside here, same thing. Copy all of this. You know, and I guess you could have templated this in some other languages, but equally, this just works fine. So we just need to change it out for the S32 equivalents, and job is a good one. Cool. Then we simply just copy that again. Look for float 32 ID, this one, go to the end, replace the S32 for F32, go all the way through, and we have ourselves a, the input system done now, which is good. So we can now tick that one off the list. So yeah, we did add many lines of code there, but it's worth it. Utility functions. Okay, so the next one we want to do is image support today. We already have ways of rendering this. It should be very basic, but we also want to make sure that the button, checkbox, and radio buttons also can have image and image text variants as well. Yeah. So we'll so what an image look like. So we should put it near the text at least. So probably do something like this. So it doesn't really need, it never needs to be clickable, so we should remove the ID from it. Where should we? Which one did we remove the ID from and it was fine? Yeah, see, same with the text as well. It's never going to be, so the text doesn't need an ID ever. Just realized that. Which widget did I do before? It was the progress bar, that's it. I did -1. Okay. Don't think you need to do -1, but I'll do. Okay, so we're going to do image. So what does the image need to do? Well, it needs to use those render functions we've got, because it's just essentially wrapping. It's essentially a higher level function to the UI drawing API. So essentially it's just drawing a shape like a box and then texturing it. So we kind of need all of this stuff, plus all of the other stuff that you might want in here, so it can do borders and things. So there's the big boy one, but there's also, so we'll have a UV one, but you might just want to just do the whole thing, right? You can do that as well. Now the thing is you don't, so the size implicitly comes from the rectangle anyway. So you don't have to worry about, the user worries about how it's going to do that, basically. So I think that's all we want. Is there anything, is there any other sort of convenient functions that we might need? Okay. So we just start a widget. Yeah, so this one just calls UI. Figure out how this one works. Oh yeah, 0 then 1, of course. Why did my brain just fart like that? Wait. Yeah. Image, UV, rectangle, texture, sampler. What programming language is this? This is C. Yeah, just C. C11, I think, to be precise. Okay. So we're just going to call into this function here, get some code reuse. insane. So what we want to achieve, let's look at the text one. We'll start with this one. So we're going to start a widget, we'll get the is visible, and then we'll end it if it is visible. We'll probably do the box drawing, which allows you to put boxes around it and everything like that. Now here's where it gets a little bit interesting. When we do the drawing, technically, we could make it a circle and then texture it. We can make it a rounded. No, but you can just use the rounded A, B, and max out the radius and it'll make it a circle. Yeah, we'll just do that. Right, so we're going to do what we did here. Let's get rid of all these guys. Okay, so we're rendering a box. And it would need to be the draw rectangle. No, it'd be the rectangle. Yes, because that would have had the padding applied and everything like that. This would then be the state style radius. Yeah, because you want the radius to come in. Then you'll render it there. So now we just need to texture it. So we've got the nice little API for that. Texture, UV, texture ID, sampler ID, UV bottom left, UV size. In what condition you have to use pointer? You want to use a pointer when you have to change something that exists in some memory location. So if you're calling a function and you want to change a value, you want it to be changed by a function that you're calling, you have to pass it in via a pointer so it can modify that variable at that address. And you also want to use it if you want to pass around big structures, because otherwise it will implicitly copy the big structures around, which is not what you want. Those are the two cases, basically. There are more, but they're the big ones. I think that's it. Right, so we take this for a spin. So I don't really have many textures. Oh, it's in the GPU side of things, damn it. But we have included all the C files, which means it is possible to do. And we're in the main file, so it is possible to do. So we're just going to do that. So I'm going to put it in this one here. UI image. Let's just pass in the A rectangle. I forget it already. The texture. So ggfx dot logo texture. Whoopsie. It just kind of went into my graphics system. Linear sampled, please. And the style. We'll do the box style, which means it's going to look like a box inside of a box with an image. It'll be a box inside a box with an image inside the box. So let's give that a run. There it is. Ta-da, texturing. So we should have already done it. Let's do it on this one here, maybe. Better. As you can see, it does work. Maybe not. What is better? No one knows. Maybe we should duplicate this and then duplicate the rectangle for this and color this in as the background, I think. That would be better. So where we start doing that is probably here we do the cut bottom. So what we'll do is we'll take a copy, this one, this rect and call it C. There you go. Voila. Obviously it makes things a little bit harder to read, but that's fine because it works. Why don't you use SDL? Yeah, it's too easy, that's why. So Phantom, we also have our own C compiler for shaders. So we can run our C code on GPU. Yeah. But no, to answer the question, SDL2, why don't we use it? SDL2 is great in terms of the features it offers. If you're just starting out making games and want to use C, it is amazing. But when you've been writing your own engines and stuff for a long time, nowadays it's padded. Oh, it's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Yeah, when been using your own games and or writing your own game engines and that, you like things, you realize things could be done a different way, and you like things a certain way, and really, you could just do something different than what SDL2 provides. It's not to say SDL2 is terrible. It's just I would just prefer to do something to have a different API to use on top of the operating system. But yeah. Also, my build times will be quicker than SDL, so I'll be able to build the project quicker. But yeah, those are the reasons. But yeah, we also basically write everything from scratch, basically, because then you give them more control, and you also get to learn. We're making a game. Will you be working on it alone, or would you prefer to rather hire an artist? I love doing art. I could show you my portfolio on YouTube. I always dreamt of working with games, and I do it for free, working full time in London, so I don't mind at all. Wow, you work full time in London and you nice. Thing is, I would love to hire people. You know, doing stuff for free is not really. You know, I feel guilty people doing stuff for free, and you know, but then again, it could pressure me to actually release this thing better. But my main problem is in my work contract, I have a thing in there which says if there's a I shouldn't create conflicts of interest. So if you were to magically get hired by a competitor to the company I work at, it could probably be seen as a conflict of interest that I might want my product to go a certain way, which differs to the company I work for. So just to keep that thing fine, I'm not working with anyone else. Just to make that bit easier, basically. But you know, in the future, if I happen to have it differently, then I will probably be more up to it. But I just want to make sure that what I'm working on doesn't really conflict with my work in any way. Is all. Yeah, kind of the way it is, which is a shame. But then again, but yeah. So I'd have to wear my art hat and get some art done. Maybe I could pay someone to do stuff for contract and then sort of get it. You know, have short term, have like little jobs, but not necessarily. Maybe that's fine. I really got to think about it. But yeah, as soon as I get to the point where the game is designed and I need to and I'm in like production, that's when I can really start answering those questions, I think. Don't worry, I work for free when the game succeeds. I can get pay. Until then, I don't mind. Yeah, pleasure. That's cool, and it sounds really cool that people are really interested to do stuff like that. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind and I'll have a think about it. Um, I just don't want to. I just don't want you to invest time and me to fail. So I'd rather get to a point where I feel confident enough in what I'm doing, and in production, basically, right? For now, until we get to there, then this is just mainly a tech a tech project, right? But until we get to something where it's like the game design is so it's kind of worked out and we're just working to get it done, then I'll definitely take up on those offers probably, or see how I can, yeah, just work with those. Also, if the project goes on in an unforeseen, wildly successful commercial direction, it can become really hard to agree on a fair compensation after the fact. I stay away from, then I get paid until, don't worry about it. Yeah, that's kind of true. You kind of want to at the end of the day, you do kind of want a contract, right? To sort of say, you know, but then that's where gets into like, I would be the one who would say I want all the power and control. Trust me, right? And then you'll be like, on a guarantee. So then these things here become difficult. But yeah, there is a thing with this project as well. Is currently people are supporting the project via Ko-fi and Twitch subscriptions, and they can get access to the code and learn from the code and things like this. So something about this project is, for PC at least, the source code is going to be out there. People are going to be able to modify it, and technically, according to the license, they can modify it and distribute it to anyone who's paid for the license. Which means this game could have an interesting set of social things that other games don't. People could be making mods for the game. They can modify the game, distribute it, have a version, which is something that I'm actually quite interested in playing with. I don't see, again, I like doing things that other people don't, because then it leads to, you're not just exploring a path that other people have explored. So at least on PC, this would be something where it could help the game, but also, it could also lead me to open sourcing it at some point. Like, but then like the console versions will obviously be closed sourced fully. And even if it goes nowhere, the art I'd create for your game, I'd add to my portfolio. See the way it works for me. You see, I'm doing it for free to help myself in spare time. That's cool. Yes, you're saying like you work for free, but you're just wanting to sort of contribute to a project which would go. That's cool. I see what you're saying. But yeah, again, I'll think about it when we get to that sort of time, and maybe we'll have to draft something out. So it's all covered. So basically, everybody's happy, right? What game are we talking about? So the game is not currently designed yet. We're currently getting the sort of core tech together so we can do some prototyping in the engine itself. So we're just getting a core engine together with a bunch of functionality, but not necessarily every piece of functionality. Then we'll do some design after we found like an art style. If you let people mod the game, you have to code it in such a way which makes it easier for them to mod, like Skyrim. See, that's the thing. Either I can create sort of plugins, or people could literally just change the source code of the game. Now that has problems when it comes to save files not being transferable, but maybe I'll have to think about a way of making it so if people were to mod the game and the whole executable, could the save file be shareable, or would you even want that, right? Or should I offer a sort of a mod, a specific sort of modding capability into the game? But then you need like scripting and I should think about it. But I should definitely think about it, right? But yeah. But I should definitely consider the fact that the source code will be available for people who have paid for it. So then that's something different. That's a different variable to how every other game works, right? Cool. So we've got the background working. Pretty good. We can do like a 0 style here. It even supports radius. Don't know if you can tell, but the image is rounded on the corners. So you can actually make a circle if you wanted to. You just up the radius all the way. So we'll say UI style 0. So let's put a 0 for the style. And it still works and just does it as a background for some reason. But well, yeah, because we've reused the rectangle. So that's really nice. So that's how you can do background images, I guess. You don't have to have a background image style thingy. You just do another widget. Very nice. Okay, so now we want to add is all the utility functions, right? Yeah, it's the opposite case. Yeah, it's like, so what happens if I were to make the next Minecraft, the next Fortnite, basically, and it blows up? You've contributed work to the project, which means technically you sort of own part of the project, right? Unless there's a contract where I say anything you contribute, right, is mine. Right, so then that's where I'm in full control, but you might not like that. Nah, glass bottle of water. So it means I'm not drinking from plastic or just glass. And I drink like 5 of those a day. Something like that. They're like a litre. So we want to have beautiful ways of doing images with a button. And also probably image text as well. So you can put an image with a bit of text next to it, which would be quite nice. So there's that. I just realized I didn't. That's alright, I'll just sort that one out, no biggie. Right, let's duplicate that. So image. This image followed by text. So probably image text with the UV. So it's nice the text going first and then the image params going after. But it should probably be the other way around. Okay, so these will be, I don't like this many parameters though. I really don't. And also, so part of me is thinking, I've done this in the past where I've just made a step which basically holds all the parameters inside an object somewhere. You register an image, right? And then you give like an image ID, and then it's sort of separated from there's less parameters, right? and then you have less functions to pass in. The front end code, yeah, it's something to think about actually. The front end code might just want to have the idea of some image, but where that is in terms of in a texture, you might not want to have the GPU stuff in here. Yeah, something we need to think about. Let me quickly just go and refill my bottle of liquor. I'll be back. Right, welcome back everybody. So the question is, right, we're adding tons of parameters here. We've got an extra one for like a UV with a manual UV. So we're doing image, we're doing texture sampler, possibly this sort of UV range, which is, you know, it's flexible, but is it necessary to be this flexible? So what we could do is we could pre-register this with the UI system, or maybe there's some other system in the game which does it. But pre-registers some concept of an image, and then it has all the information to simply render that image and give it to the GPU system, right? And then we can just pass in a single thing to represent 4 things, right? And then we can reduce the amount of functions, reduce the number of parameters, and it should hopefully be more pleasant to use. So let's just have a think about this, right? So when you have like a texture, it's going to be probably on like inside the assets folder, or maybe if it's, it's loaded from disk in some way, right? You could have something which takes up the whole thing, like this lovely logo here. You can also have an atlas where it's got tons of these guys, right? So what we probably want to have is, for text, or did it pass in a glyph ID? No, yeah, renders with a glyph, and the glyph has a glyph texture. Yeah, and that does it a special way. So that's different from the image stuff. Okay, so think about in terms of images. Imagine this is a bunch of a tiled set of images. You would have Um, right, so if you were to, like, imagine if you were to make like an editor and have some fancy icons, and the icons need to, the icons, the icons are on some form of like single texture, and you sort of like can see they're on a single texture, and you've essentially got a bunch of little images on that single texture. So we could create a system where you've got an image and like a sub image or something. Image atlas and then an image index. So that reduces 4 parameters down to 2 parameters. But then there's also like a sampler, which doesn't really reduce the 4 then, because you've got like when you want to view this image, do you want it to be nearest or linear interpolated, right? Which can depend. Yeah. So when you create this sort of image atlas, maybe it creates all the image IDs for you, and you just have to provide the image ID, which then links to the atlas and can get the information for it. Trying to think how useful this would be. So for UI, this would then remove 3 parameters. You still have 2. You have to have a sampler, right? Still, but you could theoretically just be like, right, I've got myself I don't know what it's going to be called, an image ID. And you have a sampler. And then that's reduced it down to 6 parameters, which is kind of like our hard limit of 6. Ideally 5 at most, but 6 is fine. See, I don't really like the idea of there being a sampler here either. Because it is kind of the GPU. So you have to have access to the GPU system. But it could be fine. Maybe you can store in some high bits the fact you want a nearest sampler. Something like that. So I guess the next question is this useful for anything outside of UI? So, you're registering an image. There's an image on disk, you register it, and you can tell it sort of like what the sub image is in there. So you get like this image atlas, and it contains a bunch of images in there. So you can easily get your image that you want to render. So that one. So for UI, it's useful, but then when it comes to rendering, see, I'm not sure if I've got another use case for it. Because if I do my 3D objects, I'm not sure if I'm going to be using textures in this game. So it might just serve use as a way of So the only downside is you have to then register an image. When you set up the system, you have to say register this guy, get back your image ID, and store it somewhere that you can then reuse. And there'll have to be a different one for atlases. Damn these images. But yeah, I think it's a good idea because then it makes the API more simple. So I think we're going to roll with this. Let's go ahead and make this image ID thing. Right. So because we're doing this then, so this can all go. Let's do that now, which would be pretty cool. So how are we going to, so what's this image ID thing? How do we sort it out? So essentially, right, we want to have a way to have a pool of images or something like this. You know, we can support atlases. So maybe you have a pool of image atlases that then contains, so if you were to register this thing, right, I think I got it. I think I got the design. Okay, so we'll have core define ID UI image. Yeah, so if we need this thing outside, we can always move it outside. So we have an atlas ID and we have an image ID. So there's a way to create a image ID from, so you say UI image register, and you register a GPU resource ID, and then you can register, so you just register one flat out like that. But then if you want to do something more complicated with like sub, see, this is the issue with it as well, is you cannot at runtime animate with UVs, but I don't think I actually want that ever. If we want that, I guess we can add an image ID that we can mutate, and you basically just call it, you know, I think that's possible still. So we're only going to have a way to add images, not unload them from, well, we could make them unload. We could unload. It'd just be using a pool. So it should be quite easy. We've already got a pool abstraction, right? It's going to be really easy to whack this in. So load, unload, maybe load is a poor name. Let's just say init, the init. So you also want to be able to create an atlas. So with the atlas, and then you want to be able to create an image from an atlas. So you say initialize image. So you want, it's like the full image, not init. Init from atlas, I guess. The other one. Init as atlas, maybe. So you won't get the atlas back. So that means if you destroy that, it might destroy the atlas. Yeah, I think we'll ref count it or something. So this will take an UI image atlas ID. Right. So that'll be quite easy to do. So we'll call this one image, and we'll type def a few structures. So UI, image, atlas. So the atlas is simply going to hold so the resource ID, and then we'll also hold probably like a ref count, and we'll automatically deallocate it when the ref count hits 0. Then we want to do images. Now the image is going to reference, it doesn't have to I guess it can reference an atlas. We could add the resource ID in here as well, so it doesn't have to keep daisy chaining back only when it gets deleted. And then you want to store in the UV bottom left and the UV size, because this is ultimately what we're trying to do, is save these parameters elsewhere. So forgot about that. UV size. Okay. So okay. So these are in here now. We probably want a nice way to do a get maybe. So UI image atlas get. So it's probably just void. Wait, no, not void. UI image atlas ID. Okay, and then the standard image. Cool. So we'll get these guys in as well. Okay, so in the internals, we do need to make some object pools. So we've got some ways of defining that. Define me an object pool type, please. So I need the type and then the ID type. Yep. So we're doing one for the atlas. And then it says atlas ID. Then we need to do standard image one, like so. Okay. So now these things can be used down below. We're going to have core object pool UI image atlas pool, and then we need an image pool of images. So what we can do is define the maximum number of images. So maybe like 1024 or something like that for now. Nice. So there's our, we'll create that runtime. Okay. So when we create the system, we now need to do core object pool initialize. Address of GUI dot UI atlas. Coffee lover, my friend, how's it going? How's it going? Thank you for the raid, appreciate it. Welcome everybody. We're currently working on some UI. So we've run a game from scratch in C. We're not really using an engine really, we're making our own completely from scratch. So we're currently just working on, we worked on these input boxes today. So we've got these sort of numbered restricted boxes. We've got some sliders, got all the standard stuff. We're currently just working on images because we want to make it so it's easy to use images and sort of bring them into the UI without having super long and wide arguments. So we're just making it easier to do that basically. But yeah, how did the stream go, Coffee Lava? Appreciate it. Yes, if anyone has any questions about the project, feel free to ask away. Are you drawing the graphics with the GPU? How many ms does it take to do a full screen draw of a flat color? Yeah, so using the GPU, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but basically a full, like this is the baseline and this is what you're talking about. So this is equivalent of memset on the GPU. This compute shader clear, this is 1280 by 960, so it's not 1080p, but on my AMD 6600 it's 0.04 ms. So it's taken to do this whole UI render with these layers and text and everything like this. It's 0.26 ms. I was hoping that I could. So we've done some performance tests. We've done a full screen before of 1280 by 960, and it was about 0.7 ms in total. Yeah, I was hoping it to be like probably twice as fast as that, but I was hoping to get there, but we didn't quite get there. But it's still pretty quick though, considering what it's doing. It's a full sign distance field renderer. It's basically a virtual machine running in a compute shader. So it's pretty good actually, all things considering. It's a very flexible renderer. We can do some pretty cool stuff with it. Let's just go to my Twitter quick. Was just making a text editor, nothing much going on. Sweet. How far are you in the text editor? So we can do like crazy stuff like this because it's full on sign distance field rendering. Yeah. There's more things, I swear. This is like all the stuff I've done, right? 5%. Right, so you just getting the... So have you got your sort of text buffer set up? Not sure what 5% means. Image atlas pool. I forget these parameters. Allocator, static allocator, UI, image atlas max. Right, I think that's it. Noise. Image. Images max. Boom. Right, so now we go back to here and implement all of these guys. These are simply return object pool get. Come on. Right, source code. I need to bring up the file because the IntelliSense doesn't like it, so I brought up the file. Pool get. Oh, you have to do that. Okay. I forget. So it was fine. Right. So it's all type safe basically. G, this is the reason why I make these functions, because then it's easier. I don't have to remember it's an object pool. But the object pool is dead handy. It just does a lot of the stuff for me. Right, Right, what's next? Then the ID. All right, let's just write image ID and reuse it. When you made your SPIVI compiler, did you look at the assembly language used by the GPU? So one, they're all different. But yeah, you can have access to it if you don't understand it. Like, I understand the architecture more than the assembly code. I understand the architecture more than the assembly code. But you can have full access to it, basically. And read it and understand it here. I understand more, how it works architectural level, intrinsics. Because we tried to optimize stuff and I read the crap out of it, basically. Which is all on the VOD channel. There's streams about it on the VOD channel. I'll link to that as well. But yeah, they are very different machines to CPUs. But there are similarities, obviously. They are very different. Okay, so to de-init an image. Now let's start off top to bottom. Okay, so we want to allocate ourselves a atlas, UI image atlas, sorry, core object pool alloc UI atlas. Then ID at ID, call it atlas ID if we want. Then we simply return atlas. We then say atlas. We'll start the ref count at 0. Yep. When you compile a shader, it generates those instructions. No. You compile it to SPIVI, which is like LLVM-IR. It's a compiler high-level assembly that can be optimized. It's designed for optimizations. You give that to Vulkan, and Vulkan then optimizes it specifically for, or the Vulkan driver optimizes it specifically for that hardware, and then it will compile it to that code. So if you want to optimize your shaders, you have to be aware of what it kind of translates into. But if you don't care about that, you basically can ignore it and just be completely oblivious on how it works. So we kind of want to do a get. No, we don't. Yeah, it is quite long. It's pretty crazy, to be fair. You guys enable high acceleration on iOS like HiKOS. What did you try doing? Well, you basically need to get you need to take the open source driver from Linux and port it over. And that's your best bet. I did not realize there is a VOD channel. I started downloading them myself. Then I missed a few. And thought I lost my chance. Oh, fair play. Yeah, they're all up on there. Yeah, if you scroll down, guys, there's an About section on Twitch. It should all be in there. Everything about what this project is. Yeah. Or slide over on your phone if you're young. But yeah. I've started doing that for this project because people always want to go back and see things. So yeah, it's all there. So do another alloc. Nice. So image res ID equals atlas res ID. I think I've got a bit of a problem where if you deallocate the atlas before the image will still work. I guess that's fine. Also, don't really care that much about it. UV. Okay. There we go. So init as atlas. So I guess we could set the atlas ID as null and just not create an atlas. That'd be interesting. So see if you init from the atlas. Is there a point of an atlas? There's no point. It should always just be res ID. Yeah, this is all done. The atlas thing is completely done. Right. Yeah, it's fine. It just doesn't need to exist. So you could just do one where you provide the UVs. Yeah. Right, so I'm glad we sorted that out. It's made it a lot more simple. So we've got to remove this concept of an atlas. See, guys, it's very easy to overcomplicate stuff. Very easy. Okay, so this one just calls the one below with default parameters. How's the UI going? Super good. Spent about 3 or 4 streams on it now, and we're nearly there. The UI, the internals of the UI is really basic. We're about 2,000 lines now, probably because of helper stuff and rendering code. Other than that, yeah, it's quite a basic UI internally. Doesn't do much. It doesn't even do layouts. Just has helper functions for it. So the user has a ton of control to however they want to lay the widgets out and everything like that. The API is quite simple. But, there's not too many parameters everywhere. When you say open source driver, do you mean DRM, Mesa? Yeah, that stuff, yeah. Was time to catch up, get back from my own stuff. Cool. Currently working through craft interpreters. Awesome. How you finding it? Do you navigate through a line with W and B? Yes. Yes. Most of the time. I know you can do a find, but I typically do that. Did you use any of your previous UI library? Kind of. There's some things I've taken, but not much. Because my previous UI library had lots of, it was complicated internally. It had layouts, it had two pass, do one pass where, it's basically retain mode UI inside the library, but and this one's like a pure IMGUI. So it's kind of like standard DRI IMGUI, but sort of more simple, right? More specific to this game, very clean basically, and it's not trying to be a general library for everyone else, right? It's just doing the stuff I need, basically. And it doesn't have layouts inside, whereas DRM GUI does have layouts inside the UI system, whereas we just use the simple rectangle cut. So the user just provides a rectangle, that's the rectangle that gets used, and we have ways where they can modify that rectangle very easily, and then just give us a rectangle, that's what we use. We don't care anything about anything else, we just use your rectangle and off we go. So that's using the rec cut. Why can't I just, right, rec cut. This one. So essentially you just have these cut functions and you can do columns, build entire UIs, columns and rows all in the same concept, and it's just cutting rectangles up. This thing is like amazing. I played Factorio, no. Because I don't really like playing programming games. No Atlas. Res ID, sweet. D in it. Is a factory management simulator. Does it require me to think? It's probably a programming game. I don't like thinking when I play games. I like to just be brain dead, Because I think all the time. So I just want to not think. Really good taking time to dive into things. Learning a lot. Going to do the first one in C# instead of Java. Just about to get into a parser. Okay. Fair play. That is everything. COD player. I used to play a lot of COD, not anymore. Not anymore. Okay, so now I've got this. We can go ahead and just do the rest. Right. So effectively what we want, we'll make it static for now. Static UI image ID, right, logo, image ID, right, we'll set that if .raw equals 0, UI image init, res ID, GFX, logo, this guy, Ta-da! So we need a way to probably also say about the sampler, really, isn't it? Where does the sampler go? Where do you remove it? Right, so we did an image somewhere. Should we accept a sampler and just have samplers be thrown in every time? See, most of the time you just want it to be a linear sampler when you're displaying images. Or do we? Which one do we want? So effectively we just want linear or nearest. We could set a high bit in the ID, but then the problem with that, well, or we could go in the style. Let's put it in the style. Maybe. Yeah, it's amazing technique. It's good. Awesome. Good stuff. Where would you say, so it's just, is it a style thing? Like, I might just stick it in the style for now, where you say nearest sample or something like that. Image nearest, something like that. Not a fan of it, but it will do. So that's one less parameter in all of the cases. Cool. So let's just get this working, and then we'll add all the lovely bells and whistles from the others. Takes an image ID. So now all we need to do is get the image. So the reason why we need to encode the raw parameters in here is because this gets copied directly into a buffer and gets sent straight to the GPU. So you have to really extract it all out here. Right. So we say image, res ID, that's the texture, image. Now, sampler, what is that one? It's based on the style, isn't it? So style. If it's nearest, it's ggfx.nearest. We don't have access to it here. No, we do. Also, the different clamping rules. I think you always want it to clamp. You might want a repeating texture, but we'll have to see when we actually need that, and we'll handle that when we need it. Right. Okay, so still working, which is good. So the next thing to then do is those shorthand functions. So for button, we're going to do these guys, right? Image, text. So now, these would just be super easy. We find this, drop these in here. Okay. And essentially we copy the one for button text, which is already done, which does a button, and it simply draws text. So this one is going to draw the image. Now the image size, we probably just want to take the box, the height of the box. I don't know actually. How would you handle an image size inside of a button? Well, inside of a button, you should probably just take the height and then square it. Or take the biggest side and just basically map the other one to it. Well, buttons shouldn't be horizontal, vertical anyway. So what you should probably do is the dim should probably be F32 times 2 draw rectangle dot. We're looking for kind of like the width, aren't we? Max.x, take draw rectangle. Something like that across the x and y, make it square. Put it in the middle and then give it a draw. So to draw an image, we probably should have an image draw function. Something like that. Conflicting types. This is yeah, it's not declared yet, that's why. Sweet. So now we should be able to use this image draw in the button image. So button image should be able to just say something like draw rectangle and voila. So we can take that one for a spin, and then to do the other one, it probably is going to be a combination. So you want to be able to draw the image, then the text next to each other. Probably with a bit of margin, or a bit of padding in between. But the problem is we don't really have any sort of padding. Use padding left. Maybe. From the style. So I think you'll be able to say image dims, text dims. You then want to compute these things known as, well, they're on the same line, right? So something like see, the text also needs to be kind of centered. So the text will need to be centered. Yeah. It probably needs a custom align code. Yep. Right, I think what we'll do because this one could just align it on the X and not use that align function. Yeah. Because it's already covering the full width of full height of the button. Yeah. Yeah, this needs to be custom done. You need to have the text centered, but the image dims, text dims. You kind of want to align both in the middle and then align then cut left and then, yeah, and that's just, it could be done more. It could be done better. Right, I think I've got to put a bin in it here. I've put a bin it here. Have you ever seen Krieger before? No, is he a Twitch streamer at all? Right, let's just test out the. Let's leave these commented out for now. And we'll resume on these next time because I've got to get going. But so in the next stream we'll do the variants for the button, checkbox, radio button, because these are going to be useful. They're going to show up. It'll just be good if they're there. And then we'll do a list view. Yeah, then we'll do a list view. We should be able to get those done in the stream. An FPS game is less than 100 KB. Oh. Get a version of Doom. Take a look at that. Not go. You clicked on the wrong thing. So tired I am. 100K you say it fits in. It's even got particle effects, look at that. But then again, it's like, what is 96K? 96K of dynamically linking to system libraries only, I imagine. Or did they statically link everything? And this is software rendered. And they may be linked to, you know, like, interesting though. Like, yeah, I wonder what my project is already if I remove all the debug symbol stuff, obviously. Pretty cool though. There's no collision on that door. It's definitely very still. They could add like a sign for to get some bobbing. It's quite good on the graphics there, right? Yeah, for a 96K game. Pretty dope. Right, it's fun something to raid because I need to shoot, but our next be on Thursday. We'll be starting at 8 on Thursday, GMT +1. Today game's 100 gig, I know, right? I think they're insane. They're 100 gig and it's like, wait a minute, please download this 50 gig update. No. There's a really good meme on that. It makes me laugh so hard, that meme, but it's so true and sad. But yeah. Yeah, so have a good Wednesday, folks, and Thursday. I'll see you all on Thursday, hopefully. But yeah, catch you later, guys. Thank you for coming. Right, much love.